This ritual will help you create duplicates of things. You can use this to make more money, replicate rare objects, or even make doppelgangers of people. However, this can be unreliable, as you have to complete the ritual successfully in order to duplicate the item in question. You will need a long windowless corridor, or one with windows that you can paint over. There must be no light in the corridor at all, or else you might as well just run around in a well-lit corridor, or outside for all it will matter. A good pair of running shoes. It would be wise for you to be in fit physical condition. As long as you can feel you can win the race, you're good. Blood. It doesn't have to be yours. And you won't need much, just enough to draw 2 lines, one to start and one for the finish. Lastly, the item which you wish to duplicate. While there are no restrictions as to what it can be, as the ritual can seemingly duplicate any item, I would recommend not doing it with something you hold dear or is irreplaceable, such as your girlfriend, boyfriend, your dog, your grandma's wedding ring. You need an object to complete the ritual, or else it'll be you who will disappear at the end. Money is always a safe go, but bring cash. First, you'll have to make sure there is no light in the corridor. If you can see your hand in front of your face, there's too much light. I know it's dangerous to run around in the dark, but it's also dangerous to take random rituals off the internet and follow them in the hopes you might get something good out of them. For the next part, you'll need the blood. Draw a line at the beginning of the corridor with enough space for you to stand behind it. Feel your way down the hall to the end and draw another one there. Leave the object you wish to duplicate at the finish line or on the sidelines. It's not required, but it's always good to keep your possessions in a safe place. Make sure the bloodlines go all the way across the hall. This will restrict the space the entity you are about to summon can move around in. He won't be able to cross any of the bloodlines, which is why some people choose to draw another line in between them and the entity. I would not recommend this, as if you cross any of the bloodlines once it is summoned, it will be able to do the same, which is why you're drawing the bloodlines now, before you summon it. Now for the summoning. You don't need any protective circles or talisman or items of power or any of that fancy nonsense bullshit. Just clear your mind and think very carefully about a racer in the dark. You have to be very non-specific for this part, as it can change forms quite easily at will, and restricting it to one form in your summoning will confuse it and turn it away. If you hear a sound next to you, you'll know he's there. Don't look at him. You won't be able to see him. But if you look at him anyway, he'll take it as an insult. This is the racer in the dark. He will say to you in a deep, raspy voice, "What are the stakes?" You are to reply, "Double or nothing." Don't get greedy and go for triple or quadruple, or he'll kill you then and there and take your object with him as punishment for your avarice. What's next is simple. Call. 3, 2, 1, go. And run on go. You'll need the head start. What the racer sounds like varies depending on what form he chooses, sounding like anything from a horse galloping to a human running, and even a train clickety-clacking along invisible tracks. But his speed is always the same, faster than the place you find yourself running at. To win this race, you'll have to listen for him. And when he catches up to you, you'll have to push yourself harder to distance yourself from him. He'll always catch up. So this is more than a test of endurance than anything. You'll also have to be careful not to slip or fall, as if you do, you will be unable to catch up to him again, and he will win. If you reach the finish line before he does, you will find that whatever object you put down, however much cash you bet, has doubled. There'll be a note next to it saying, again, it is very important you do not take him up on this, as he was holding back this race. The racer can run faster than the speed of light and was only going easy on you so that you would accept this next race. Don't fall for it, no matter how good you feel about your ability to outrun him, as he won't just take the objects you put, he'll take you too. No one who has ever attempted the rematch has had it end successfully. However, if you slip or fall, or if you can't keep your pace with him, you'll hear him rush past you, laughing. And when you go to check for your object, it'll be gone. This is why I recommend you don't do it with people. He doesn't even leave their bodies. No one has ever worked out where the racer comes from or where he takes his prizes. Everyone has tried to tie these down to a figure from Irish, Japanese, or Russian folklore. The truth is, no one knows. And he doesn't take kindly to people asking questions about it. All he is to people is a way to get a little bit of extra cash out of your paycheck. A way to pass on an heirloom without losing it. Or a way to finally have that threesome. So what do you say? Feeling lucky?
This ritual has been passed down through the centuries and originates from the British Isles during the Middle Ages, where it was viewed as devil worship by Puritans and a way to protect your home by those who knew that what was really standing in their fields was not the devil. If completed successfully, the ritual will ensure you 1 year of safety, physical, financial, and/or mental, depending on the events of the ritual. You will need a house in the countryside, preferably with a field of crops out back. Technically, all that's required is a large backyard. The larger, the better. But success has only come from houses in the countryside. A candle. Attempting to use a flashlight, cell phone, or any other electrical source of light will be unsuccessful, causing the light source to flicker and die after only a few seconds, which is why either a candle, an oil lamp, or any sort of non-electrical illumination is required. A crucifix, I'll explain why later. A watch or clock to carry around with you. Again, cell phones will not work during the ritual. To begin the ritual, make sure it is late enough for no one around to be outside. And make sure the sun has set. The being the ritual is based around will not appear if anyone other than the summoner is around to detect its presence. The earliest successful summon was at 9 o'clock. Light your candle, go out into your yard and whisper 7 times, "But who?" will scare the crows away, while facing the house. On the 7th whisper, you should hear from behind you, "That's not your biggest problem." Walk back to the house without looking back. As soon as you reach the house, get inside and close the door. Now, the ritual begins. Everything in your house that can open has. Take your crucifix into a room with only one door. Close the door and leave it there. That will be your safe room in case the ritual goes wrong. Make sure all the doors, cupboards, cabinets, and whatever else that can open is closed in there. If he gets into your safe room, you are doomed. Your goal is to close everything that is open before your watch reaches midnight. This sounds easy in description, but think about it. Every bag, every door, every window, every container in your house has just opened. The challenge isn't closing them all, it's remembering them all. As you make your way through your darkened house, you will notice that, out of the corner of your eye, you will be able to see a man, dressed in simple farmer's clothes. His skin is ash grey. Don't look at him. And whatever you do, don't look directly into his eyes. But don't be afraid of him. This is not the man in the fields. He is merely a herald, a referee of sorts, to make sure that you're closing every container. He will be following you, but will not get in your way. Make sure not to look out into your backyard. If you do, you will notice that there is a scarecrow that wasn't there. Its head is a cow's skull, and its limbs are impossibly long versions of a human being's arms and legs. While the skin on its arms and legs is pale, they are not skeletal. The only thing that is missing is a head. If you fail the ritual, or do not reach your safe room in time, he will take yours. The reason I was telling you not to look out into the backyard is that you will notice this scarecrow. He will also notice you. He will then begin to get off his post. This is the man in the fields. If you don't look at the backyard, don't see the post and the scarecrow, you will have until midnight to complete the ritual. If you are 100% sure that everything in your house that can open has closed, make your way to your bed and go to sleep. For exactly 1 year, you will have complete and total safety in everything you do, depending on when you started the ritual. If you started it 3 hours from midnight, you will only be completely physically safe. A lot of people have used this to elongate their lives past where they would normally end. People like cancer patients and the elderly. If you started it 2 hours from midnight, you will not only be physically safe, but financially safe for 1 year. You could quit your job and still never have a need for money. Either you win the lottery, or people just feel compelled to give you things for free. However, you will need to set up a plan for the end of the year, as your safety will wear off, and you will lose the money you have won. Make sure to either set up a business or make some smart investments. If you started the ritual 1 hour from midnight and somehow managed to finish it, you will be completely and totally safe for 1 year. None of your actions will ever have any negative consequences. I'd tell you not to do anything immoral, but if you're going to go through your entire house in 1 hour and somehow manage to close all the boxes, doors, windows, cupboards, bags, cabinets, and drawers, then you can do whatever the hell you want. If you did look out at the backyard, if you saw the man in the fields, you will not get any of this, not even if you finished the ritual. If you looked out at the backyard, the man in the fields will get down off his scarecrow post. He will look at you. He will begin sprinting. You have a minute, at most, to get to your safe room. Run inside and lock it tight, and double check to see if everything is closed inside. You do not want him getting in. You will have to endure him scratching and clawing at the door, shrieking threats and promises of mercy if you open the door. Whatever he says or does, do not open the door. There is no circumstance in which you should leave your safe room to confront the man in the fields. Good luck and stay safe.
Are you lacking in the looks department? Do you have burning questions about the great unknown? Maybe you're simply a thrill seeker or are just feeling bored. Well then, if you answered yes to any of these, then perhaps this will interest you. There exists someone who can help you to become more attractive, answer any inquiries you may have, or simply relieve your boredom. The thing is, the person of whom I speak isn't really a person at all. In fact, she's not even from Earth. No, she's not an alien or anything like that. She's a succubus. And if she is so inclined, she can help you out with your situation, provided you're willing to pay the price. You can contact her with a simple ritual. Ever hear of a game called 7 Minutes in Heaven? Well, the ritual is kind of like that, except you'll be spending more than double that time in the dark with a demon, instead of your significant other. For the ritual, you will need 3 things. 1 candle, it doesn't matter what kind. A closet big enough for you to sit comfortably in. Any kind of paint or ink, preferably red or black. Hell, a Sharpie should do the trick just fine. First, clean out the closet of all flammable objects, such as clothes or any other such things. In fact, you might want to clear it out completely, just to be safe. Make sure you don't have anything like a crucifix or other religious items with you. Next, draw a pentagram on the inside of the closet door. Now light your candle, step into the closet, shut the door, and sit down facing the pentagram. If there is light coming in from the crack at the bottom of the door, block it with something. A towel or a blanket should do. From this point on, I will refer to your soon-to-be guest as Fiona. This is not her true name, which is impossible for mortals to pronounce, but it is the name she goes by when summoned. Look up at the pentagram on the door and whisper the words, "Come to me, Fiona, I beg of you." Repeat these words until your candle goes out. If Fiona feels like it, the candle will blow out on its own, and the ritual can proceed. If she's not in the mood, nothing will happen, and when your candle burns down to nothing, this means you'll have to try again some other time. Keep in mind, you won't be able to see Fiona, and you have exactly 15 minutes from the time the candle is extinguished until the ritual is complete. After your candle goes out, you will hear an alluring female voice whisper in your ear, "What do you desire?" It is at this point you should reply with one of 2 responses. Before I tell you how to answer, just know that Fiona will take her payment immediately after you do so. No, it's not your soul, or anything like that. Although, when you pass on, this whole thing probably won't look too good at your final judgment, if you believe in that sort of thing. No, as payment, she'll typically take a quick make-out session, or a quick round of, well, it won't matter to her what gender or sexuality you identify as either. She's not picky. Please note, however, that this will be the most unpleasant part of the ritual. If she feels like making out, she'll force her mouth against yours and wrestle your tongue for a while, maybe even groping you in sensitive areas a few times. This might not sound too bad, but the sensation in your mouth left by her tongue will feel like you just ate an entire bowl of ghost chili peppers. Your tongue may even start to blister after a couple of minutes. If she decides to go for the second option, well, let's just say you're in for one hell of a ride. No pun intended. Because she likes it rough. Like rough beyond human comprehension. Needless to say, this will not be an enjoyable experience. At least not for you. If you manage to endure her payment process, she will proceed to grant your desire from the beginning of the ritual. When she asks what you desire most, if you answer beauty, this is the correct response, whether you're male or female. When the ritual is complete, you'll exit the closet looking like a model. Any blemishes in your skin will have disappeared, and your face and body will be as flawless as a statue carved by angels. Kind of ironic, isn't it? If you answer knowledge after she takes her payment, she will spend the remainder of your 15 minutes answering whatever questions you may ask about the afterlife, such as, what kind of punishments are dished out in hell? Or is my Uncle Charlie in heaven? But be warned, you may not like the answers you receive. After the ritual is complete, you will sense that Fiona is no longer in the closet with you and may exit and go about your life. One word of warning. If the closet the ritual has a light inside, such as a light bulb with a pull chain, do not turn it on while performing the ritual. Fiona really doesn't like it when mortals are able to see her, and she will immediately go back to where she came from, taking you with her to endure unimaginable pain and misery forever. With that said, good luck. If you listen closely, you will hear them howl. It will get closer every night. You can ignore it all you want, but the wolves will reach your door. And then it will be your turn to play with them. Some may think they're safe because wolves don't live in their state or even their country, but these are no ordinary wolves. They hunt when they've found someone who interests them. They know your every desire, and they are willing to give you everything you crave. Here's what to do if you want to win. From 9 p.m. to 4 a.m, you and only you will hear their howl for an entire week. You have 6 days to mentally prepare yourself for what they're going to put you through. From 9 p.m. Sunday to 4 a.m. next Monday, the game will officially begin. If you're not there when they show up at your door, they will still play, but on their terms. And trust me when I say this, you don't want that. At 9 p.m, you must go to your front door and open it wide open. Directly in front of you, the leader of the pack will be staring at you. Look him directly in the eyes and say, "I am not your prey. You are my servant." Then quickly close your eyes and hold them shut for 30 seconds. Then, the game begins on your terms. You will awaken to find yourself in a luscious forest. Birds will be singing, and the sweet aroma of flowers blooming will waft through the air. Don't move and don't touch anything. Stand perfectly still and wait as the forest withers and dies. When this happens, there will be no sounds or smells at all, just a forest of dust and shadows of life. At this point, you will hear the howl from miles behind you. Run in any direction you like. Just do not run in the direction of the howl. They are hunting you now. Keep in mind that although you are a huge distance ahead, you should not take this advantage for granted. They know exactly where you are, and they are faster than you. If you are successful at finding a cabin, run inside and lock the door. When they catch up, you'll find they're waiting at the door again. Look around the entire cabin for a small wooden box with a lock. The key will already be inside. Once you open the box, you should find a piece of paper with your innermost desires written on it. Walk out the door you entered and show the wolves the piece of paper. Once you've done this, close your eyes for 30 seconds once again. This is where the game differs. If you seek material goods, you'll find yourself in an abandoned warehouse. And if you seek something else, wealth, love, you'll find yourself at home in your bedroom. For those inside the warehouse, you must run through the warehouse, searching for each of the items you want. The wolves will be hunting you, and every item you find will make it easier for them to find you. So I can only wish you good luck in finding those items. When you leave the building, you'll find yourself outside your home, and the game's over. For those who find themselves home, you must close your eyes and lie on the bed and wait for the lights to go out. When the lights go out, you can't afford to open your eyes. The wolves are surrounding you now. Tell them exactly what you want and wait. If all goes according to plan, the lights will come back on and you can open your eyes. You've won the game, and now you can get some rest. If all didn't go according to plan, they are disappointed in you, and your eyes will open without you wanting them to. You will then find yourself in the forest again, and you can only hope they're not too hungry tonight.
There's a small, inconspicuous building called Porrick Willowsby & Co. in the industrial district of Birmingham, UK. Most of the time, its doors are locked and the windows are draped. However, on February 29th of every leap year, there will be a small plastic container outside the front door containing business cards. On the front of the card, it will say in large capital letters, Porrick Willowsby & Co., England's thaumaturgical specialists. On the back, in nearly illegible small type, it says, The blood of the innocent. Any night after midnight, one can come to Porrick Willowsby & Co. and slide their card through the door, and the door will instantly unlock. Inside, there is an empty room with white walls. No light reaches this room, except for a small sliver from the other end of the room. When you approach this room, you will find that it is actually another door. When you knock on it, a voice will ask, "What makes a man become exalted?" And you must respond with the phrase on the back of the card, "The blood of the innocent." The door will open, and you will come into another room, a kind of lounge. Inside it, you will find around 5 to 10 people, depending on the night, sitting around, smoking and drinking brandy, all in late Edwardian period dress. There is absolutely no conversation at all in this room, and it is nearly silent except for the phonograph, which plays the exact same record over and over, ad infinitum. If you attempt to speak to one of the patrons, they will promptly ignore you and pretend as if you were not there. Towards the south wing of the room, you will find a large round table
slightly different from the others. On it will be a quill pen and a document. The document shows all of your personal information: name, birth date, place of residence, criminal record, greatest fears, and so on. At the bottom of the document is a long line that asks for your signature. No one knows what happens if you sign it.
I really wish I'd left that fucking light switch alone. Who would have thought that the flick of a switch could mean the difference between life and death? Actually, everyone's thought that. That's why I turned it on. Stupid little rituals that we take from childhood. The light will chase the monsters away. The blanket over your head will save you from the boogeyman. It seems like you just get more out of these rituals as you get older. As long as you lock the doors and turn on the home security system, you can rest your head happily in your cozy little fortified home. No killers or psychos, monsters or boogeymen. But it doesn't work. None of it. We always slip up somehow. The one time you forget to lock the door, that's when they get you. I would have been sound asleep if I hadn't been woken up by the loud slam as the front door blew open. I stumbled out of bed and down the hall to see it swinging back and forth. I moved quickly down the hall to secure it. A moment of panic swelled inside of me. My home felt like a crime scene. It wasn't my safe little sanctum anymore. Despite the overwhelming feeling of intrusion, there was no sign of disruption. Just the door. Just my careless mistake. I couldn't comprehend it at first. It had to be a burglar or some psycho. I looked around the rest of the house, checking every cupboard, every crevice. Nothing. I felt stupid but relieved. I just wanted to get back to bed and forget this whole embarrassment. I flung myself back down on my bed, closed my eyes for just a second. I sat back up. There was no way that I would fall asleep unless I double-checked that I'd locked the door this time. I mean, I was sure I'd done it this time, but I felt this was justified paranoia. I got to the door and twisted the handle roughly about a dozen times. Each time, feeling the resistance of the lock. I smiled, safe. I turned on my heels to go back to bed. But it was just a glimpse, a flicker of something in my peripheral vision that sent me swinging back into a panic. A shadow from the kitchen. I rushed in only to be confronted by my normal kitchen, bathed in moonlight. I sighed, questioned my sanity, and decided that this, the longest night of my life, must end. I went towards the bedroom once more. Another odd shadow crossed my path. As a shiver travelled down my spine, my tired mind braced apathetic denial and decided that it was probably the neighbour's cat passing by the moonlit window. I sat wide awake in my bed, trying to lull myself to sleep. I tried counting in my head until eventually nodded off. But every time I closed my eyes, that feeling of intrusion was still there. The hands of something unseen looming above my head. Every creak and every shadow filled my mind with the dread of my childhood. Those nights after being tucked in by my parents, those same fearful thoughts of lurking terror. But it was nothing, right? More creaks, more movement in the shadows. I turned and pushed my face into the pillow. I felt something brush past my foot, which stuck awkwardly out from under my blanket. I jolted upright, looking deeply into the darkness, swirling shadows, the monsters, the boogeymen. I felt around sheepishly for my phone. The dull light of the screen could put me at ease. Nothing on the nightstand. And when my fingers roamed around the edge of the bed, instinctively, I retracted them for fear of the unknown. I was alone, but in the shadows, I saw them. The monsters. Inky, abominable beasts. It was the only thing I thought could help me. I lunged from my bed directly at the switch. My palm slammed down on it and the room erupted into light. My eyes burned momentarily and I glanced around the room. Empty. Safe. Just paranoia. I shook my head and hit the switch once more, climbing into bed in the pitch black. No shadows without my night vision. But now I hear them. I can't see them now. I don't know what they want, but I know they can't leave. The rituals have failed. They're on the other side of this blanket, and all I can do now is hope that they're gone in the morning.